liberty and justice for all. Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for the privilege, Lord, of serving you and serving our residents, Lord. Hopefully, we can live up to that standard, be the servant that we need to be, act in the very best interests of the residents, take care of the county's funds, and just be the very best servants that we can be. Ask all these things, Lord, in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. You guys received the minutes from the August 5th meeting. Any comment on those?
No additions or corrections here. I move, I talked to Stan earlier. He didn't have a problem. Steve, you
Okay.
have it? You're good?
Nope, I'm good.
I move that we accept minutes, Stan.
Okay, motion passes. What have you got for us, Tony?
Not as much as Nate, but I tried.
They just has bigger stuff.
He had an extra week though.
Hey, Tony, can you start laminating your reports for us?
Nate is always setting the bar so much higher than everybody else. That's not fair, is it, Paul?
Show off.
You guys don't bring laminates?
Yeah, it's not what we like.
Overachiever.
Okay,
They go off the beer and the pizza sauce. Comes right off.
all right, the first thing that we'll do, I handed out to you for the meeting, the animal shelter report submitted by the Heisers. If people want to enter that into the record, I gave a copy, I think, to the press.
Yeah.
Looks like that almost looks a little different, but I think I don't know if it's the way she has it laid out or. But it still tells her over there how many dogs they still have and how many cats they still have, so.
And it's amazing that, we're not a huge county, but those numbers are low compared to.
Oh, compared to what you hear on,
Yeah.
of course, when you hear them on the TV, it's
Yeah.
because there's some kind of a bad thing going on.
Numbers are
but-
low and I won't complain about that,
Yeah.
so things must be taken care of itself.
Yeah.
I have no problem with the report, Stan.
Yeah, I always have a little trouble following it, but yeah. I make a motion to enter it into record.
I'll second his motion.
Okay.
Motion passes.
And then the next thing that we'll have is Eastern Alliance Workers' Comp. And that claim is in the amount of $6,133.09. The paperwork associated with it is in there, but obviously it deals with privileged information, so that would just be for your
Okay.
information only. And that's the Eastern Alliance Workers' Comp claim.
Move we accept.
Second.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. That motion passes. Thanks, guys.
Then we have Allied Weekly Health Insurance claims. These are in the amount of $57,095.22. I verified those. You have medical, $13,201.55. Prescription, $44,347.21. There were a couple of refunds in there that totaled $453.54, which left a total of $57,095.22 for the weekly health insurance claim.
That's the amount we need to approve, right?
Yeah, the
57.
yeah.
I move we approve the amount Tony just mentioned, 57, whatever it was, 57.
I'll second.
57.
95.22.
Hey, motion made and seconded. That motion passes.
We have the USI Insurance quarterly claim, which is actually what we used to pay Shapley. Now we're paying
Right.
USI, and it's $9,000 for that.
Motion to approve.
Second.
This one, I did not stand.
Motion
That's
passes.
administrative, right? Tony?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's for the, what's their title? Broker, or broker. Okay, you should have received,
Yes, Stan.
you should have received the payroll time cards for appointed department heads.
You have any questions on the payroll time cards?
I did. I do not have any questions.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion passes. Thanks, guys.
Okay. And finally, we have payroll claims. And the payroll claims are in the amount of $397,314.77, $397,314.77.
Move that we, accept Tony's, payroll claim of 397, 314.70. Second.
Thanks, Dan. Motion passes.
Excuse me.
I was gonna take that as a second, but you
Yeah,
covered up.
that's
That is all,
exuberant.
that is all that I had.
Like an auctioneer, you make an utterance, I'll take it. Okay. Tony? Nate, besides all of our pretty laminated maps you got for us today, what else have you got?
Unfortunately, too much here.
Okay.
So.
Well, I think Tony gave you a little bit of his time, so.
I know, yeah, I get, a little good nature.
You're welcome.
That's all right. Couple of items here for you. First thing I want to start with, and I think you just talked about it just briefly during council, is regarding certain network outages. So loss of internet, loss of phone. Really just want to apologize for the public as well, just that we've had recent network outages at the highway department, at my office, making it where we're unable to issue emails, receive emails, phone calls. We're essentially isolated from the public. We had an extended outage that started last Wednesday on August 6th, or to 6 a.m. And that actually ran all the way until midday Thursday in the Monroe office. During that process or period, we're unable to send or receive phone calls, emails. We're unable to process invoices because of we have to use that same network access allows, so really no claims can be processed. And for us, access to project files, permits, and records are shut off. So there's a significant amount of downtime that's created, the loss of production for all of this. Thankfully, for our contractors, Brad and I work with, we have our cell phones as kind of a backup communication. So during the 4 active construction projects we had during that period, there really wasn't any loss of communication there. Thankfully, we had that established ahead of time. So in addition to this outage, there's been numerous phone call and internet outages that have been happening during business hours, from anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour or more. The ladies in the office have been documenting those periods of time and when it happened, just so that we have some sort of record of what's happening, because we just don't know when we're not getting those calls. As an office that receives emergency road condition calls from the public eyes and ears see down stop signs, gravel on roads, other issues and nuisances that need to be addressed immediately. Being cut off really just isn't an acceptable thing for us. Brad and I both take that very seriously, and certainly it's our hope that no one in the public thinks negatively from that or was impacted negatively by that. We don't want them to assume, we don't want them to assume that we're just blocking their calls.
So sometimes, I think that's the
I
biggest
mean,
risk.
for one of those risks is that for the department, if the public thinks that we're just screening our calls, or not listening to them, or not responding, that's really something, that credibility we can't necessarily regain in the public. So during this period, I know that this was brought up during council. Brad and I both take that seriously. We don't want to hear about what's going on out there. We need to know and respond. We have an opportunity to respond. And with this, that's really something that's taken away from us. So certainly I want to encourage the commissioners, as I know you're already starting to look into this. This came up, sort of just the timing. I think that there was this incident and others kind of broke the camel's back as far as pushing this over the head. But certainly I would encourage you to look into this, because it reflects poorly on our department, myself and the highway department totally. But in that same vein, I don't want it to be assumed that I'm attacking the IT department, because I know both Bob, Sarah, Ethan, Mike, all of them have been very quick to respond. And I think they're equally frustrated with the situation as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know that there's.
Unfortunately, I know the recent phone outage, I think it was primarily voice lines. I know Watch Communication. I know Mike was in communication with our vendor on that, starting at midnight. Maybe that was Friday night or so.
Friday, Sunday.
Yeah,
Monday.
and and I know that there was, that Watch was working on that and ultimately determined the problem was actually one of their vendors, one of their upstream vendors that had a failure. But I think that goes back to that, what systems are gonna fail? What happens when the primary system fails is the issue. And especially for voice communications, we don't have a failover when our voice communication lines go down. What's the answer? Well, in your case, the answer is I get my cell phone out of my pocket and start,
We've
and
gotta
start
do that.
trying to keep work moving. Another thing I wish we had is I wish we had a way to communicate with the public more effectively when we have an outage like that. I know Sheriff Mayor put it on his app. We pushed it out that way. We pushed some information out through the EMA communication network, but we really don't have a great way to communicate with the public when we have a system like that that goes down. And I think we need to continue to work on that. I know we're talking about that.
Yeah, certainly. Brent and both, because of those circumstances, felt it was necessary to bring something up since he was not able to be here today. I wanted to at least present this to you. We take it seriously and certainly understand the frustration that the public may have in trying to reach out to us.
How many times has this happened in the last 6 months?
And in the last 6 months, I would say that we lose phone and internet for periods less than an hour, probably every other day.
Every other day.
Every other day, we'll end up losing phones or internet, and we won't necessarily know why that is. They'll drop off. Extended outages like this, where you're like half a
Yeah,
day,
that's what I
are
was
certainly
asking.
more
Extended.
infrequent. But if your phones are down when someone's trying to call, you just don't know what you didn't get. And so it becomes more obvious when it's a full day outage or a couple hours like this. We may lose phones for an hour or two, at least once a week. But with this sort of larger outage, this is a little bit more unique.
So Steve, if Mike is working on this and we go through and make some major changes with our system here, is that gonna eliminate this every other day?
You know, we really haven't talked about, I was unaware that you were having what we talked about yesterday was the voice lines, the SIP
ours
trunks that
is-
come in and,
I believe we're on VoIP, so we're over the IP. So when we lose
Yeah.
internet, we lose phones.
Okay.
We may lose phones because the phone system is down countywide.
Yeah.
But when we lose internet, then we lose phones, so
Right.
it cuts us off entirely.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and that has been, I've noticed it more this summer and.
so we probably need to talk about that particular aspect of it further, but I know the countywide phone issue, I think there is a plan to improve that. I don't know.
When
that
you
it
say
could ever be
countywide, are you
bulletproof.
talking about county buildings?
I'm
or
sorry,
countywide?
county government wide,
Okay,
county
government
government wide.
government.
Ian, thoughts?
We're in the same situation now at community corrections.
Yep.
Yep, put on the agenda next week.
It
Yep, that's fine.
almost seems between 12:30 PM and 1:30 PM, it's like the network resets or something.
Turn
Because
like a
we're
reset.
sitting there and all of a sudden you can see WebEx isn't working or whatever, the network's down again. And sometimes it's for a few minutes, sometimes it's for an hour. I don't know. And I haven't complained. I don't wanna be a complainer, but.
But obviously
it's not a very
that
good
impacts your world.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Stan, have you guys talked to any about that?
No, I think the thing that it reinforces for me is how communications and internet has become part of our infrastructure.
Mhm.
You know, just every bit as important as our road system is and bridges. You know, I think, we need to get this worked out. And I know Mike has talked about that for years, how our phone system especially was, becoming outdated and undependable more and more.
Sure.
So I think this creates just a huge urgency to update.
So while you're looking into this, certainly I wanna, bolster the conversation as far as making sure that we look at what's going on at your satellite offices, whether it's the highway department,
Yeah.
community corrections, how those systems work and what we've been seeing, so that you have that information. I don't wanna point fingers at it because I don't necessarily
Well,
understand
no, I
the
appreciate that
architecture of
because
that
I
system.
hadn't heard that.
So I'm not naming names in any of this. I don't know why they're going down. It's just that they are. And what I wanna make sure is just kind of the main point is that the public understands that certainly we wanna make sure that we maintain credibility with the public. And if they're trying and they're not reaching us, there may be reasons why.
Yeah.
Or we're sound like we're busy when they try to call us back over their lunch break with it being noon to 1. Who knows? So, but I wanted to bring that up and
Very
bring it
good.
as well, so.
We'll,
With
Yeah,
that,
Steve,
moving
Steve,
on.
we'll work on
as
it.
you talk to Mike, you know, like when we were down for what, a day and a half or something?
Yep.
Okay. But the rest of the phone systems in Adams County was okay, is that correct? Do I understand that?
That's correct. Yeah, we all rely on different ways to deliver that voice service.
Yeah,
You know, I don't know. I haven't had a landline in 20 years, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know
My,
that.
my cell phone kept working.
Yeah,
So, you know, Verizon wasn't down. It was the landline communication we get delivered through Watch Communication. So
okay,
if you weren't getting your service through Watch Communication, I don't think you were affected.
okay.
Um,
Now, do you think would this be a lengthy time frame for Mike to get a new system involved here, or
Yeah,
was that gonna?
it would be,
take a
it's
while?
gonna be months. It would be months.
Wow.
And obviously it's a pretty significant, even though it wasn't as significant as I thought it was gonna be
There's a
financial
cost.
decision. We've got to get council involved and it's got to be a part of the 2026 budget. And so it's a budget issue, but I think we need to try to resolve that in 2026.
Well,
That
we-
voice piece of it anyway.
I appreciate it, yeah. Yeah, sorry to jump on all the time for that, but I think that's something that since you're bringing this up in council and now this is a good time to at least kind of express.
Yeah, I was unaware you were having regular internet
Yeah,
outages.
well,
I think that's a separate issue, honestly.
Okay.
I
Well,
believe it is.
I'm glad that we're not alone. I mean, sorry, Misery
Yeah.
loves company and so are
Yeah.
we're all seeing at least some of those phantoms in the system.
Yeah.
Moving on from there, actually some good news here I want to bring up, Bridge 93. NDOT did submit to me a congratulations letter. Adams County has been awarded federal funds for the replacement of that bridge. And that is the bridge on County Road 000 or Van Buren Road, north of
Look at
Monroe.
that.
That's the one over the Yellow Creek. And now that you have your laminated
Get my
maps, you can
map.
pinpoint.
I know where it
right
is,
to
but I
that.
can get my map out, and look at it.
Yep. So funds will be distributed over the next few years from NDOT, from fiscal years 2027 all the way through construction in fiscal year 2031. So you can imagine the timeframes for projects like this. The total funds awarded to the county were $1,860,720. And that follows multiple phases from right of way, utilities, construction, inspection, and design. So there's a breakdown in their letter. With the late announcement, obviously, I'm kind of pressed with time. Usually we would have found this out in March, and here we are already in August. I do need to have a consultant under contract before January 1. So I have already issued to NDOT, and it's been advertised a PA on right-of-way services contract for a request for proposals. And so those will be due back to me by September 8th. Gives them 30 days to put together a submittal on it. But again, construction's not anticipated until 2031. So anybody's looking for when we're gonna close the road, if your kid's in high school, they'll already be in college before this ends up happening. So don't worry about access at this point. Certainly as time comes closer, that'll come around, but a good win for the county. I'm excited for that. It's another big win for us, and we're already turning around. We'll be looking at applying for more projects this November when the next call opens up.
Well, congratulations again on
Yeah.
that award, and am I reading that right under the point B? They're gonna start distributing funds, in 2027.
Correct. I will need to have a consultant under contract next year. And then once I have them under contract, I'll have a fiscal year funding for PE. We'll start spending money on engineering after
Okay.
probably July of.
So that's why
26.
they're distributing funds before construction.
Yep. Oh, yeah. So we've got money prior to construction. We're gonna spend about around $200,000 to $260,000 on engineering alone for that. There's some money I set aside for right of way. I hope I don't need it. And there is some money for utilities, but I hope I don't need to have that. It really just comes down to the final design.
Nate,
So-
is this is the 1,860,000, that's 80/20, right?
Yes, so that's the 80%. We'll still have our
We're still
20%.
okay. Now,
So the
just out of curiosity, if we said, we're gonna replace this bridge and we're not even gonna go after the federal funds, what would it cost us to replace that bridge?
You're probably looking in the $750,000 range minimum. So you're in about $750,000 to $1 million because of the proximity of both the railroad, the city's water line. There's a gas line in the area.
So what's 20% of 1,860,000?
You're about $400,000 to $500,000. So we're 300 to 50, 400, we're almost 50% to the good on that.
Are there some projects that come around on a 80-20 that we're just better off forgetting the 80-20 and doing ourselves?
Simple projects, yes. And if, but so I've looked at it this way, in some circumstances, you could take a small project and make it very complicated. So if you look at this bridge, and you're like, why is this a $2 million project? Well, there's certain elements in it that would require that because of federal funding. So yes, when you go for federal funds, it expands the scope because of the amount of work that's necessary. If you have conflicts like utilities and right of way, the complications of right of way have been the bane, I think, of many public projects for the county. I think when we talk about right of way and property acquisition, you can think of a number of projects where that has
Right.
hamstrung the construction of any number of major municipal and county work.
Well, I just want to make the point that just because sometimes you're eligible for the 80-20 and 80% sounds, man, what a deal. You know,
What a
we
deal.
landed this. It's not always,
No, and we absolutely weigh that. The simple rule of thumb is if I take a project and even if I double the cost, because so you say, so if I take an $800,000 project to make it $1.6 million, and I could do it for 800,000 or double the cost, but if I get 80% of the money, if I'm getting 80% of double the cost, theoretically, the math is I'm still only spending 40 cents on that original dollar if I double that. So the math tends to work out in our benefit, even when with that increase, but you don't want to take that lightly, to your point, Doug. So,
Right.
So no, we weigh those out, and it is outlined in my asset management plan, which projects would necessarily fall in that category versus say community crossings or trying to do those locally. So it's a very good point, and certainly would consider that whenever we make applications.
Good point, Doug. I never thought of it that way.
Nope.
That's me. That's
Yeah.
my
I know,
rookie.
yeah,
It-
back
it-
when
still
Tim
a
was
rookie.
here, Tim would actually pass up some of the 80-20s
He
and do it
would.
himself.
And where that becomes very valuable is in speed. Because if you want to do this
Sure.
project faster, we're
Yeah.
talking 2031. So now that's the earliest that happens. Now it's pegged in schedule wise for that and the money's there. But if you need this done in 3 years, federal aid is not going to go.
Yeah,
So preventative maintenance and quick responses, federal aid doesn't work. If you can plan it out and put that and say, I want to do this here, kind of like planning a Europe vacation for the family. Yeah, you might want to plan ahead for that. But if you want to go to Cedar Point or Kings Island in 3 weeks, you might want to just
and
put that in.
the thing
Just
of
do
it is, if you think it through, someone, the taxpayers, obviously, is paying the 80%.
Yes, they are.
They're paying 80%. So, you know, it might be a bargain for Adams County, but the extras that's coming in with a federal project is still costing somebody.
Well, and I guess my question, not to extend this conversation, we gotta move
Yeah.
on here, but for the additional dollars, what does the project get? Or is it just all in CYA to make the federal government happy?
That's a loaded question.
Do we get actually a better bridge?
What ends
Employing
up
people.
happening
Employing
from
people.
the bridge projects, you button up everything from an environmental standpoint and from a right-of-way standpoint. For the public, this has been my experience on these projects, when acquiring right-of-way under this federal process, it is very cut and dry. It is significantly faster than some, but you are following the federal standards for right-of-way and land acquisition.
Okay.
If you think you need to acquire land, this is the way to go because the appraisals, the duplicate appraisals, that process is followed to the letter because there's federal money that's tied to that acquisition.
Okay.
The benefit is it just happens. You just start, as long as you follow it, you move forward and it's a needed project and the county needs this bridge, and so we're going to acquire what's necessary and only what's necessary. The problem for the public is if you're a landowner that's adjacent to the project, you want to be talked to ahead of time. And with the federal process, that is absolutely prohibited because that is collusion with me, with the landowner, or the county with that landowner for the use of federal funds, and that is considered an illegal act. So the property owners usually feel blindsided because this process moves along in preparation, but all of that preparation is to make sure that the request is only what is necessary for that, and I have to prove that in the process of developing that plan. For the landowners, they feel surprised and they feel like that's a step against them. That's not the case, and I have to spend a lot of time explaining it, try to go through the background for them. But you end up having a better permitting, planning, right of way is all secured, everything is buttoned up, and you are meeting certain minimum safety standards on that. Nobody's cutting a corner in developing that, and there's also additional where there's a required inspection of everything that's being done, third-party inspector.
Okay.
So there is some benefit, is with everything federal, there's a lot of CYA that goes in there that ends up expanding that. more
But there is
staff.
some, you actually do get
Yep.
some better end result, probably not to the extent you're paying for.
Yeah, would it be great to find some more efficiencies?
Right.
Absolutely, and there's certainly the recommendations.
Well,
I'm not gonna bite the hand that feeds me.
I think Doug's comment though is really well taken, that they're,
Absolutely,
that you just have to, obviously, we trust you to bring us the projects we need to
Yep.
fund locally and the ones we need to go for
Yep.
government funding on.
for every project that we have, it'd be great to see federal funds, but certainly there are good candidates and there are bad candidates.
And if
Good
you're
deal.
gonna, we're using federal funds, we're helping support some federal jobs.
There's some federal jobs, there's some union jobs that come out of that, and and the counterpoint, not that, in devil's advocate, if the federal government is going to spend money, it might as well spend it here in Adams County on
Yeah.
projects. And
Yeah,
so I
sure.
think that might be a point to as well. So
Timeframe.
Good.
moving on here,
Good deal.
sorry, I don't.
Well,
Yeah,
just,
right.
just to throw a little quick note in there that our Cume Bridge Fund allows us to have the money for those matches.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah,
Thankfully,
absolutely.
we,
There's a
Got that
reserve
place for
there. and-
years. That's a good
hold
thing.
that. Those-
Yeah.
Matter of fact, you should get pat on the back. He was probably on council when we did that.
Well, that might have been, I started in 2010, so I don't
Yeah,
know.
They've had Cube Bridge around for a while.
Yeah.
Update for you, C-Tech, they did some guardrail repairs for us. Both the section will have been, a hit and run crash on 000 north of, or south of 3 South. That's been repaired, and then also a section of the Matthias Miller ditch where the slope, the bank stabilization had failed. Both of those were done back on Wednesday, August 6th. Updates for you on small structures, C-260 and C-350. Both of those structures Fleming Excavating was working on for us. Those have been completed since my last meeting, and the roadways are now both open to traffic. So C-260 is there on County Road 700 South between 600 East and the Ohio line. And then also similarly, C-350 is on County Road 1100 South, further south there, but also between 600 East and the Ohio lines. Both of those in the South Territories are both open. Both have been low posted. Now those low postings are eliminated, guardrails are gone, so those are all opened up, much wider
Yay.
structures there.
yay.
So I think the farmers that have been out have been very happy to see that project progress.
Good.
See that opened up. And then lastly on my list here, Bridge 180, that's on 650 West, the intersection of 650 West and 825 South. Judy Excavating has announced to me that they plan to mobilize and start demolition on Monday, August 18th. So next Monday, they're gonna be closing that intersection. So both 650 and 825 South, because it's right at the crossroads of the two.
Yeah.
Both of those are gonna be closed for
Sure.
the full miles and both north, south, east and west from there. The duration of the project, I'm still anticipating somewhere in the range of 7 weeks. Once we actually get demolition done and get deliveries, then I'll be able to give you a better rundown of the time frame for that.
Since that's gonna be extended closure, do we have to have detour routes
Because of the local traffic, we're just gonna end up just closing those, and then the locals could get access to their properties in that vicinity. They could get around that, but for through traffic, we're just gonna close the through traffic. If we end up putting detour signs and such, another one of those things that we do with local projects, I can save some money by not putting 50 signs out and around the project and monitoring those. That saves us probably about $15,000 just in traffic control, putting those out, because that's subbed through various subcontractors. So,
Okay.
yeah, the simple barricades work for the public and what they need, the locals can get to where they need to be. If it were a busier road, obviously, we would try to provide some alternate routes for them. So.
Good deal.
Before I get up, and I know Paul and I want to talk about something, but it's part of the highway side, so.
Come on up, Paul. Morning.
Morning, good morning. Just, since Nate's still up here, we'll just start with that. Our 700 South project between 27 and 150 West. They were doing asphalt and such, they had the base down. Truck went through there yesterday, and Fleming's estimating guys come and said, stopped at the office, said, we got a problem.
Mhm.
Well, it basically destroyed the new asphalt, and further inspection, Nate went down there to look at it, and we've determined that we're going to reject that asphalt,
The binder?
the binder on it, and all that Nate explained. He went down,
Yep.
was feet on the ground down there and looked it over. And since Brad is gone, we both discussed it and decided that we were going to reject that binder asphalt that they have put down.
No, wait a minute. A binder's a binder.
Yes,
Yeah.
asphalt's asphalt. You
Right.
did.
So
There's
you said it blew up. What do you mean by that?
a truck went over and it just
Squished it
It
out.
squished
it out,
yeah.
Essentially punched through the
Was it
asphalt.
because of the heat of the day or anything?
Well, when I went out there to look at it with, I believe it's Troy, with Fleming, he is the one that brought it up at 1 o'clock yesterday that he had witnessed it. One of the local farm he was accessing part of the farm, and his part of the truck went through the asphalt
Really?
and punched through to the base stone. So when I went out there to go through and inspect that with him, the asphalt, what we saw was sections of the asphalt that are supposed to be 3.5 inches of binder. When upon inspection was about 1.25 inches of
Jeez.
asphalt. So, and I went through and took a pickaxe and started digging through some of the asphalt sections, and I found a number of spots where we were getting less than 1/3 of the asphalt that was per plan. We also didn't have the slope. We should have about 2% cross slope. It was dead level. There was essentially no slope to it. So I discussed it with Paul and told Fleming that we're gonna reject the asphalt that's been placed, that this doesn't inspect, it's not per plan. So we need to have a meeting with both Fleming and the subcontractor that put the pavement down to come up with.
So it
a
wasn't
response.
Fleming that put the pavement down.
Correct.
Was it
Fleming
Brooks or
paved
who was
this.
it?
E&B Paving is the subcontractor to one. So they're the subcontractor on this. So right now, is it frustrating? Certainly it is. South Adams is gonna be damaged by the schedule because the plan is for them to be opening up soon. School starts this
Tomorrow.
week. So certainly it's going to cause some detour routes to happen. We don't want it to happen, but thankfully, before this project's done and everybody's off, we have the opportunity to reject the work before we've paid money. So.
So they have to take that asphalt back up?
That's what we're going to meet on Wednesday with Fleming and E&B. So
So
I've
it
told them
wasn't
we wanna
the
meet
prep-
tomorrow.
Underneath the pavement necessarily, it was the actual pavement.
There's gonna be some discussions. So everything goes well, we're probably losing a week in the schedule. If things go poorly as part of the negotiations with the contractors, there might be more extensions. So obviously, this isn't something anybody wants to have on their projects. We've got processes in place within our agreements with the contractors. Certainly as the owner, we hold the purse strings to this, but we're gonna have to go through the hard part of a bit of a dispute on this.
Yeah.
So,
Well, usually if it's on a state highway or something like that, there's a state inspector out monitoring all those things.
yes,
If it's usually the contractor, you said E&B or someone?
E&B.
E&B, usually they have a person on site that's inspecting and
They're
making
watching
sure.
their own projects, and Fleming is watching it, and then we're we're essentially between our tasks trying to be out there on site during paving operations as well. And we ended up finding that after the fact, and when it was challenged, there's been some calls. I'm not necessarily gonna put some of the communication on the record as far as where we're at. But the main point for you is the commissioners, we're aware of it. We've notified them that we're rejecting it. There's gonna be some schedule impacts, but both Fleming and the Fleming subcontractors, we don't have an agreement with E&B. Fleming does, so
Right.
Fleming's gonna have to
Yeah.
execute anything on
Right.
our contracts with
Is
Fleming,
this
so all the
something-
communication needs to be through them.
Is this something where we would ask Mark or Clayton to sit in on that meeting?
It may not be a bad idea for them to be in attendance, though they would have to take lead just so that they're aware of what's going on.
Well,
They
thank
do
goodness they didn't put the surface coat on.
That's
That's
what we were thankful for.
kind of
Yeah.
our point, is that if of any time for something to fail, this is the best. Is it pleasant? Absolutely not. We understand that. But for us, at least what we found was, and this may only be in a small location because it was about an 85-foot stretch of the entire section is where we found where the damage came through. But because of that, I don't have confidence that there's not other areas that do
Sure.
not meet spec.
Yep.
So one of the things that we're gonna certainly look at is we're gonna go forensically, go through some other areas to make sure, validate what was.
How do you do that? I mean, is it a mile-long stretch?
Half.
Half mile?
mile.
So do you go through and do borings or something, or?
I think that may be something that we do. That's something we're gonna discuss on Wednesday.
Yeah,
is-
plus
is
the slope.
The frequency,
Right.
verifying the slope. We're gonna do some of that, and some of that's either gonna be us out there doing that sampling and testing. But certainly we did not get what we were expecting. We've worked with these contractors before.
Well, I agree with your assessment, although I blame Fleming for not managing their sub. So they should have been the one that was inspecting the
Yeah.
work and understanding what their contract with us called for, and that their sub was not meeting those contract obligations.
Mhm.
The next question I would ask is, are there penalties involved for not meeting the schedule? I mean, obviously, this is, and South Adams is gonna be furious, and I don't blame them.
And I've already received calls from South Adams regarding this,
Yeah.
so certainly we're trying to make sure that we keep everybody calm, getting upset right now.
Commissioners included?
Commissioners included, but thankfully, we haven't said anything too flamboyant yet today. But there are liquidated damages in the agreement. So
Okay.
there are damages once we get beyond that. Those do not direct themselves to the start of school for South Adams. So
Sure, I
though
understand.
that was our goal
Yeah.
and we wanted that for
Our-
South
our
Adams.
schedule is
that was
different than
our
that.
desire, our schedule. now-
Contractual schedule.
Correct. So we're not gonna hold anything beyond that at Fleming.
No,
Certainly, our agreement is with Fleming, and so any damages that would be caused as a result of that would go back at Fleming. But we have a long history working with a local contractor. Certainly, we don't have an interest in trying to harm
Whatever
them.
is-
But we need to be made
Yeah,
whole.
when-
we do, but it just really is frustrating for me when we hire a contractor, they sub it out and their sub fails to perform in what I would consider to be an egregious way.
Yeah.
And
This
this,
is,
and our contractor isn't aware of it.
Well, when the bid was done, they knew darn well how many tonnage it was gonna take for the binder on that half mile.
Yep.
And when they finished that, it had to show, I wonder, several
Right.
tonnage that didn't show up.
There's a big difference in tonnage between an inch and a quarter and
It-
3
It's
inches.
huge. It feels a lot more than just an oops to me.
Yeah.
And I expect us to hold Fleming accountable for that.
so
Well,
E&B
and that's what makes me
was trying to
wonder
pull
if-
fast, in
They
my
were.
opinion.
If
Yeah.
the entire discrepancy lays with the paving company, or how much of it lies with the road pro before they pave.
And some of that, we're gonna have to express in our meeting on Wednesday with the contractors. We're gonna bring everybody together, have some of that out. Of what our expectations are as a county, which is why it's kind of good to hear some of your opinions and comments on this. That way we know how to interact with.
Mark, I think we need
with
representation at that meeting.
Totally unacceptable in my
Yeah.
opinion,
So
totally.
agreed, and that's why we rejected the pavement. And right now it's a blanket rejection, so If we determine that we wanted to have them remove significant portions of it at their cost, we theoretically could do that, but I don't want to be heavy-handed with the contractors either. Though in circumstances like this, you may win in the short term, but you may lose the larger war because it will reflect in future projects.
Well,
But-
understand that in my opinion, we've been let down.
Yep.
And although we may not want to get sideways with a major local contractor, by golly, they let us down and they need to know it.
Absolutely.
Well, and the other thing too, it would be much easier for us to be negotiable and forgiving if it was simple negligence rather than intentional. Hey, we can save some money here. You know, there's two different intents.
That'll never be proven one or the other, basically.
Right.
Well,
But like Doug said, they knew how many ton of
Right.
material
They knew
should have
what
been
it
applied
should
to that
take and
job.
put a-
And
what
they
was-
knew when they didn't apply it, that they were not meeting their contractual obligations. And they looked the other way and tried to pull a fast one on us. And by golly, I'm pissed about it.
Well, we have an obligation, obviously, to you as commissioners and also indirectly to the public that are paying towards these projects.
Right.
We want to make sure that we're good stewards in
They
this.
could have
So,
put that surface coat on and it would look perfect.
I
You know,
know,
that's why I said I'm glad that was the base underneath there
Yeah.
that failed because it'd have been pretty and then we'd have had a great big blow up on the road.
though we had a warranty, it still doesn't look good trying to tear up a new road. I'd much rather have a delay. And
Well, yeah.
certainly our condolences to South Adams in this, because this isn't what we wanted for
Well,
them.
it's
We've been pushing
it's not a
hard.
reflection on the county, Adams County Highway Department. This is not a reflection there. It's exactly what Steve said. It's,
So, nope, it's a unfortunate circumstance, and
Yeah.
I know we're gonna stay.
Well, get it
engaged
right,
on
make
this
it
and get
right.
And,
They gotta make it right.
We'll reach out with Mark's office and make sure that we have somebody in attendance there.
well, let me ask you this, just out of curiosity. If the truck wouldn't have broke through, would we have caught it?
Probably not.
or the farmer that was going in.
Yeah, I mean, like Doug said, if they put the surface over it and matched the curb like it was supposed to, what's underneath there.
Yeah, we could have got stuck.
Do we
Yeah.
need
Real
to watch
easy.
I
these
mean,
projects?
we got the
closely?
warranty that comes with it, but I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, it's like, you guys have talked about NDOT. That's
Well,
why
we
they
just
got the
talked
guy out there
about, we just talked
drilling
about the
for
federal
us.
projects and having an inspector on all those projects.
Right.
Yeah, there's
That's-
probably some value that comes with
There's some
that.
value that comes with that and,
Having an
Hey,
independent
some of the
inspector on these
obligations
projects.
falls on positions, the authority to do that falls on positions to do that. It comes down to a delegation of time and staff to do those when you've got seasonal projects. So. yeah,
When we're talking about a project this big, do we need to build into the budget an independent inspector?
It's something to consider. Whether we contract directly with someone to be a seasonal employee for something like that, or we're gonna have to delegate a significant amount of our time during that. Obviously, this project's going on during chip seal season, which is where
Yeah, that's right.
we're committing 80% of our staff to one crew moving around the county and pulling another. And you want a seasoned individual.
I was gonna say,
And so you're taking a senior person, putting them there when you need them running other crew. So that's a discussion that certainly should be had as we develop these sort of projects.
let's do that.
So,
You know,
what
maybe
would
there's a
happen,
threshold.
You kind of developed a boilerplate bid form for a lot of our projects that you've been using.
Yep.
What would happen if we would build into that contract a requirement for contractors to provide an independent inspection?
it's been done. You would probably be better off negotiating directly with your own.
I would rather have the inspector
Somebody-
reporting to us versus
So
reporting to
you
the
need somebody
contractor.
that answers to
Independent.
you. And I
not
would probably have.
necessarily for them to provide the inspector, but to provide the means for us to have an independent.
I think you wanna be in charge of that, and you guys be in control of that, you hire your own consultant, you factor that cost into the overall cost of the job. Because if you try to put it in on the contractor, number one, you don't know the relationship between a contractor and inspector, and they're gonna factor in the cost and they're gonna add to it.
Yeah.
And so you'd be better off just doing it.
Not only that, but you
Independent.
know, you got, it's a black eye for E and B. I mean, you know, we trust Brooks all the way. Now, E and B, it's gonna be, oh, I remember when,
Oh,
huh?
I imagine that there's gonna be a lot of South Adams and Burn people that are going to look sideways at E and B after this, if this delay is extended.
Well, and you know, again, they probably won't, they might not look at Fleming that way, but they're gonna look at us that way too. You know, this is on us.
Yeah.
They're gonna, I know we're gonna have some,
Yeah,
apologies to give.
Yeah, so we need to, we need to, you know,
Well,
we can learn from this.
We need to accept
can
our
learn from
responsibility.
we can learn from
Well,
this.
and I don't know that we as a county need apologies. I mean, we've got you and Paul who found the problem, discovered the problem, and are correcting the problem. And to me, kudos to you. Kudos to your oversight and kudos to you guys watching this project to make sure it's correct. So I don't think we owe any apologies. I think we've got stand-up people on the job.
Yeah, let's have the meeting and we'll
Yeah,
discuss it.
We'll
further.
figure it out.
Let me see what
How we
happens.
wanna respond in the
Good.
future. That's another question.
Yeah, get it done right. Let's get it done quickly.
Absolutely. So
Okay.
I'll leave you to it.
Well,
What else you got for us, Paul?
I got a couple of permits, both of them for NIPSCO subcontractors in two different areas, so I think we probably ought to just go through each separate.
Okay.
One of them, the first one here is on 200 West, where it meets Main Street and Indiana Street here in Decatur. They're digging down and doing some recoding of the gas lines where they're thinking there's gonna be an issue there. The area is fine, it won't be too invasive, they're just digging small holes and doing some repairs there.
move that we accept the NIPSCO project 200 West.
Second,
Motion passes.
that's up in Williams.
2 West and right here at the edge of Decatur. Where it comes up, well, yeah, I guess it'd be right there at, Helena's corner up there, right before you get to Helena. Is that Helena on 224?
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
gotcha,
Yeah.
okay.
I was trying to think, is that not Helena?
Well, when you said Indiana Street,
Yeah, they call, I don't know what they call that little side bird off there, I think.
that's why I was thinking, well, okay.
The next one is they're putting new pipe in along Winchester or Pickle Road up here. They had started work. The crew up there thought they had a permit and did not, so.
That's
last Thursday-
NIPSCO also.
NIPSCO is a subcontractor. So they're running a new gas line along there. So last Thursday I delivered them a stop work order until they had their
Okay,
permit. So this is to
good.
get them going again, so.
Good. Thank you. You guys okay with that?
Yeah,
Yeah, second.
I'll make motion in.
Okay,
Yeah.
motion passes.
But you know, once again, kudos to you guys for watching those projects. Cause when you bring permits in, you know, I know that when you bring us a permit or approval, you guys have went out there and looked at it
Right.
and
We've looked
Make
at
sure
it, make
it's
sure it's
okay.
good, make sure it's not conflict. We knew they were working up there and Brad's like, hey, we need to see your permit because we don't have record of it. But, you know, sometimes we don't, sometimes something gets slipped through the thing. We've
Sure.
had internet issues,
Yeah.
you know, different stuff, so.
yeah,
And you swing up there and say, hey, we want to see it. He said, the foreman on the job's like, yeah, I got it right here. Flip through there.
Any idea what they're doing along 124 between the Ohio State line and Monroe?
That's all, looks like fiber. They're plowing that in with them big dozers. I wonder, I don't know for sure, but I wonder if that's part of the project that we're dealing with on.
Maybe.
down
Coming in.
Winchester.
All coming down
Could be.
124.
Cause
Could
they're,
be.
I mean, those pipe-
Yeah, what's going in is huge.
well, and that's all full already. It's already
Is it?
got the stuff in.
Wow.
It's not just the conduit. It's already
I
got
had
the
looked
water
at it
in
and I knew they were,
Yeah.
It might be part of the, what was.
You don't know.
Coming down
Yeah.
Winchester.
we'll sure to get my
I
ice
don't know
cream.
who it is.
Oh, yeah,
They're- I mean,
wait
it's a
in line for
subcontractor,
20
but
minutes.
on
You know, the
vehicle,
lines
so-
haven't been that bad this summer.
so. The only other thing we
Okay.
got, out of 106 miles of chip seal, we got 14 left.
How's the distributor
The
doing?
distributor is at the shop right now. We're trying to get it patched up. I'm hoping the next couple of days I get answers. If not, I'm gonna reach out to
Okay.
surrounding counties to help us finish. I
deal.
said, we're gonna finish this year, but
Good deal.
this is the last thing we do. so.
Thanks. Thank
But
you.
it went well. We had a good go of it. We were stomping them right off and the brakes come on, but that's okay.
Good.
We've already done more than we normally do in a year's time.
Right.
Trying to make up for last year. Yeah.
I
Right.
can always tell where your chip sealing as far as who I get phone calls from.
Yeah. I had a few phone calls from your area too.
Yeah.
Had a nice discussion with one of your neighbors.
Yeah.
Hey,
They hung up on me, but that's okay.
thank you.
Well, I try and explain that's the standard of care for paved roads.
The last thing she said before she hung up the phone was, I don't think you know what you're doing. I said, thank you. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
Anything else for me, gentlemen?
No, we're
All
good.
right, thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Oh, shoot. Rick, what have you got for us?
Hoping you put somebody in between this.
Oh, we're good. We're good.
An update on, all the fire extinguishers and things for the 3 buildings. Wax, the council on aging too, are all done for the year, all
Good.
passed. Just wondering, the walkthrough that we did
Mhm.
last week.
Right.
Was there any discussion?
Maybe we can talk about that after the meeting.
That'd be perfect.
Well, I do appreciate your time and I appreciate you taking us through for sure.
Yeah,
You know, cause it's one thing to sit here in this room and talk about the building. but it's
yeah, I've got,
another thing to
I've
go-
got to go see it and I don't do that
Yeah,
often
yeah.
enough, so thank you.
The flags.
Mhm.
I don't know if there was any discussion this morning, maybe with John, but, sounds like he's gonna get that fixed.
Right, get that guide
What are
fixed or whatever.
Future plans for the pole out front. Are we gonna put an Indiana flag?
We've talked about flying an Indiana flag from it or something like that. I hate to take it down.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a,
Doesn't have to be answered now, but I just.
yeah. I don't think we want an empty flagpole out there. And the Indiana flag seems to make sense to me.
And we could have further issues with
If it were me, we
project
could
that
fly
we're
the
doing.
army flag from it, but Doug might have
Yeah.
it. Doug-
As long as the Marine Corps flags above, we can have both of us.
We could put a Lutheran flag up.
Could do that, could do that.
Let's stick with Indiana.
Just stick with Indiana.
So anyway, sounds like that's all being taken care
I believe so.
of. I got a custodian out this week for vacations.
Thanks.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's all.
So did you get your software installed so you can monitor the thermostats and temperatures from?
No, I'm glad you brought that up. Last week, myself and Bob Hakes met with the Dillon Group, which was formerly BTS, about if we get a new system, a control panel box.
Right.
Would it operate what we have? And he said, yes.
Okay.
Remember the problem about the generator where it kick off the,
It's not even listed.
according to what he was telling us, they could just put like a little transmitter on each one of them that would save a whole wiring apparatus going to
Well,
the
that's
air
up here in
handlers
Winchester.
itself.
These are two others.
But he's gonna give me a quote for it. And it'd be a universal.
This would replace all that, the
It would replace.
Hable Brothers, who's the vendor now? Not Hable Brothers.
Hable.
Was it Hable?
Yeah.
Okay, just trying to
It
remember.
would be prioritized.
Right, yeah, yeah.
And actually, John, we had a
All
little
right,
issue.
thanks.
Saturday, the power went out. Well, I came in, I just wanted to check. So when I came in, I mean, it was all back on and everything. But yesterday morning, I came in a little extra early. I was up on the 3rd floor in, Mark Wynn's office. It was hot. Well, the thermostat was hot. So I went and turned the breaker off to the air handler and flipped it back on, they came back on. Took the thermostat off the wall, put it back on and said power on, so I knew we had low voltage power to that.
Yeah.
But for some reason it was black, so when 8, 9 o'clock, when they came in, I called and took a picture back of it. Get a tech down here, because they're the only ones that could work on it. They haven't called me back yet, but when I came in this morning, I don't know why, but it's back on.
Hmm.
But that's just one of those things right there that's why I'd like to get a new control. I mean, that's,
So have you talked to Mike about this? Cause I know sometimes when you put remote stuff on, he considers that a backdoor into our
I just
system.
did this morning, and, he's gonna do some checking, but
Hmm.
I just had a conversation before I came in here.
Good. Yeah, it's kind of, I think hackers are pretty sneaky sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
They
They
get in
can,
through
get
remote
it through a
cameras or
thermostat.
whatever.
Whatever it is.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Anyway, and I gotta know for sure really what type of equipment he was talking about. That's what Mike needs.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Other than that, that's.
Good, good deal. Yeah, yeah, maybe we can just talk a little bit
Yes.
after the meeting. Good, thanks, Rick. Shelley, what have you got for us?
Got a couple things.
Good morning.
It's been a bit since I've been here.
It has been.
Guys have a nice summer.
Yeah,
Nice.
nice and hot,
So
yeah.
it's nice when you have a pool. So.
Yeah, just rub it in, why don't you? Yeah.
Every day. So the first thing I would like to discuss is the ordinance that we had set for poll workers and what they, the expenses. After the 2024 election, it prompted me, and also I had discussions with other clerks and how they handle things. Usually, what we would do for poll workers, they would get like a meal expense for $15 for that election day. And basically that would be direct deposited into their account after the election. Many of them were like, what's this $15 for? You know, they'll get their their pay rate, and then they'll get a $15 meal expense. It caused a lot for me as far as how many poll workers are used. I have to create a claim sheet for every poll worker and make sure I don't miss them because they are there. And with that, I have noticed other counties have done this. What I am proposing to do for this amendment, instead of like we're eliminating that meal expense, but increase their rate to the $15. So currently, inspectors receive $250 on election day. I would just up it to $265. And then judges and clerks get paid the same at $191. I just add $15 and they would get $206. So then that way I don't have to prepare all those claim sheets. They're just getting reimbursed for that $15 for that meal.
How does that work taxes wise? Like, if you get a meal allowance, are you taxed on that?
And they won't be taxed either because.
Oh, they won't be taxed?
Because they have to reach a certain threshold for IRS standards. I believe it's $2,300 a year.
Okay,
And most don't reach if they work both elections and that kind of a thing. Now, some early workers.
so
they
it won't
might-
be a disadvantage to the poll workers to do that?
No, and I kind of allowed Cassie, my election deputy, to call veteran poll workers. Hey, would you care if
Good,
we do this?
good deal.
And they were always wondering, why do you get this $15, you
Yeah.
know, because most of them just carry in. So it's, they're actually going to get a burger or something like that kind of thing. So what I'm proposing for that.
So your election board was in favor of
Yes.
doing that, so
Yes.
now you're bringing it to us.
Correct. And
Okay.
so last Thursday, the election board and I had this discussion. They were all in agreement. And I said, well, I'll have to present a new ordinance to the commissioners, but they approved it.
So do you have the ordinance prepared already?
I had created a red line that I gave to the county
It's being
attorney.
printed right now.
And I did make,
I don't have any problem with it whatsoever.
No,
Yeah.
you okay,
no,
Stan?
yeah.
Makes sense to me if we can get an ordinance to look at.
Give me a
Saves
number.
lot of headache on me too.
Yeah, we don't need to do that.
Let me give you a number here in a second.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that makes a long day for poll workers,
Yes,
for sure.
it does. I'm glad that you were allowing them to at least increase their rate. And that's why I want to make sure that media understands, because what they put on the front page of the paper last time, I didn't like, so. They said, poll worker or election board remove,
Meal allowance.
meal allowance or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, so it's just going off the agenda.
Yeah, it was just a little bit, I mean, it depends how you read it.
Right.
Yeah,
So I want to make sure the public knows
I don't think
that
I
poll
did
workers.
that their compensation won't be reduced.
No.
I don't think I wrote that.
No.
So what do you got, Mark, on number of?
That'd be, County Board of Commissioners Ordinance 2025-11, ordinance establishing fees for election poll workers and rates for reimbursement for election-related expense. So it's been revised. All other prior ordinances are repealed, therefore be it ordained. Board of Commissioners filing rates shall apply to election poll workers who work on the day of an election. Inspectors shall receive $265 per election. Judges, $206 per election. Clerks, $206. Alternates, $25 per training. Travel board, absentee, early voting workers, $11.23 per hour, 40-hour week max. Voting equipment workers shall receive $50 per day. Everything else in the ordinance, I believe, stays the same.
Yeah, the only thing I changed on the alternates, it said per day, but I changed it for training. That's actually what they do receive is per training.
Okay. So that's the new ordinance. Need a motion
You guys are
to
okay?
adopt that 2025-11. And if you all vote on it, then it's considered adopted.
Second. Sam, second? Okay. Motion carried. Motion carried.
Okay, everybody voted? All right, show that adopted. Send out a copy of that to Shelley.
Thank you.
I'll get a copy to your office and one to Shelley. Actually helps our office too. We'll have less claims coming over.
Sure.
Yes.
Yes.
You should see my spreadsheet. Trying to make sure I got it.
I mean, when it's election time, we do all those. I don't know, that's fun.
Yeah, a lot.
Hey, what else have you got for us, Shelley?
All right. So our offices has been in quite a flux lately. I think I may have spoken to all three of you, or I left you a message.
You did, yeah.
Actually, I was kind of surprised even back when that we've never had at least a bookkeeper in the clerk's office. With the way our staff and how the duties that are assigned, there's so many things that could get created in error. If I'm not there or my chief deputies are not there, that we're handling quite a bit of money that comes in our office and as well as dispersed. We really need a concentrated person, even though I'm only requesting for a part-time bookkeeper at this time, that they could be able to focus solely on the duties of a financial position. Because there's so many degrees of our positions that we're so focused on other things that it gets pulled in different directions. One person's doing this, another person's doing this, and another person's doing this, especially in our financial aspect of it. This responsibility, we had created a job description, which I had sent it to Shannon. It is very detailed, and it looks like it would be more so than actually a 20-hour work week, but at this time, we was kind of want to see how this is going to go. This person will be handling all the day-to-day operation or transactions to reconcile. They will also be able to do month end. They will also be able to run checks. See, all these duties are all divided up with everybody in my office at this time. And it's making it very difficult to make sure we concentrate and have one person, solely focused. Now, the question is if that person is out on vacation or something else, at least there's other people in my office that we can actually cover that. But it's not day to day to day, month to month, year to year type thing. So what I'm asking from you commissioners, an approval for a part-time bookkeeper to be able to come into our office and be able to handle these financial situations.
Part-time, how many specific hours are you thinking?
I'm thinking 20 hours a week. I would probably prefer them 8 to noon to come in to be able to do the daily and also all the transactions from the previous to stay. That's basically what we have a chief deputy doing at this time. But we're very short staffed at this moment. Actually, I'm half staffed right now. A lot of people are sick, so it makes it very difficult to try to make sure that we're focused. We actually had a financial error this morning that we had to fix, look at and research. So there's a lot of time that takes away, so.
What kind of a wage would this part-time person be?
I believe it's the,
So we have not gone through the process of wage review for this position, which I would recommend that we go through that. And then also, you guys typically prefer to see the job description a couple days ahead of time from the meeting, so you have time to review it, because you would be adding a new position altogether and creating a whole new job description specifically for this office by doing this. So, I would recommend that we go through wage review process, and then after that meeting in September where you have wage review council commissioners, then you guys can make a decision then, because you'll hear what council has to say and you'll have time to look at it and.
Yeah, it take council approval too then. Cause you don't have the funds in your budget.
well, for 26, I do. I budgeted.
Oh, you did for 26. So you're, Shannon's saying just put this table for now? Is that what you're recommending, Shannon? Just table?
It's up to you guys, but usually we do follow that wage review process.
I think we
where
better stick with that
everybody's
procedure myself.
together.
Steve, is that all right?
If-
Yeah, I
If
think
you're
that's
okay
fine.
until then, I mean, it's not an urgency that,
Well,
I mean,
oh,
one of the things that sounds like created as much of an urgency as anything is the short staffing in your office. But even without the short staffing, it sounds like a bookkeeper, even part-time, would give you consistency of record and as much money as runs through your office.
Exactly, and that's what it's needed, especially during the election. when it's an election year, I'm so solely focused on an election almost the entire year. So it makes it very difficult, me to even do the clerk duties in and of itself and also the financials. So it would help and lessen also the stress on my entire staff as well. So, but I'm breaking it up, so if you guys are aware that this is what I'm proposing, because I do have a budget hearing next week. So that's council will also be knowing that why I'm budgeting. So you guys are aware as well, even though we have a wage not until September.
So after you have your wage meeting,
It's scheduled for September 9th, which is.
okay, so then it come back to us and then the council for funding.
Yes, we
Okay.
schedule the wage review meetings at the beginning of the year, once a quarter, so that's our normally scheduled one.
My question, Shelley, help me understand how your staffing in your office kind of compares to similar sized counties staffing?
Glad you asked. Because
So I'm looking at Wells County here, which I
you can't
assume
compare
is-
Wells
Okay.
and you cannot compare Jay because they are 10,000 less, 15,000 less of population. Huntington is the best bet for population. So with Huntington, their population is 36,000 last time I checked. So I'm sure they've even increased like everybody has had. We're 36,000. They actually have 12 full-time and 1 part-time employees. We have 9, and that's including myself. So those, if you're actually comparing the 2 counties, they have a lot more staff than we do. And they also have a bookkeeper that solely, and a full-time bookkeeper that solely concentrates on our financials. So, yeah, I've actually, I have my comps ready for even wage review or in, for council so that they will kind of know what the kind of comparison would be. Yeah, Wells and, they are just, they're a lot smaller and they don't handle as much financial as we do.
Of course, the reason that it goes in your budget is it has to be in there as we submit it in case they do go for it.
Exactly.
So if not, you wouldn't be able to budget for it. So that will be dependent upon the wage review and the commissioners approving the position and all of that, but.
And if you ever would come to the clerk's office and see the high volume that we do receive, we do have quite a bit that comes in, not only they're coming in, they're filing a lot of protective orders. Those are our first and foremost things that we have to take care of. So that puts somebody else aside from actually doing a financial aspect of it, while they have to focus on protective work. Everybody has, to a degree, a cross training, but They can't do every position. I couldn't do every position in my office. So we have to have somebody that at least that can just solely focus, and they'll be able to do that. So that's why I'm kind of presenting it.
I just pulled up, Huntington County on their gateway report. Looks to me like they have 10 full-time.
I actually asked the clerk,
Okay.
and she said she actually had 12. She told me.
That's not according to Gateway.
Well, they put their combination too, deputies like we do. You couldn't tell how many we would have in ours.
If I pull up your office, I can't tell.
Because it's under the deputies line item.
I pull it up by department. So if they're in your department, then they would show up regardless of the job duties. I do get the deputies and I do get the, when I pull it up the way I look at it, I do get the deputies, I get the clerk, I get everybody that works in your office. Or the office.
How many full-time do we have in your office?
We're all full-time. So we have 9.
According to
including
Gateway,
me.
I'm showing
9
9.
full-time.
9. Very good. Okay, so we'll wait.
Yep.
We'll wait until wage review has a chance to take a look at it.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Well, what, for your immediate situation, how are you doing with being short-staffed? I mean, how do you
Trying to juggle.
how do you compensate for that?
Well, like other things that I would be focusing on, I'm actually helping out. I actually have helped out filing. I've actually helped, I have to do month end. I mean, that's on me because there's nobody else in the office that could do it. So if something would happen, there's nobody that would be able to do month end. So my monthly report, I don't know. It would have to be a hurry and scramble train kind of thing. So that makes it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so right now with juggling, trying, and we do get pulled in so many, phone calls, over the counter, filings. So,
Sure.
Yeah.
yeah, it's a very, chaotic office it could be, as far as people.
So I don't know if there's any other way to help you with, if you have both short-term and long-term absences. I don't know if there's any other way to help your office.
Stan, I've been trying to rack my brain. When there's a problem, as you can, many of you might know, that I try to figure it out, I try to fix it. This one is, it's complicated. I don't know. So, other than what we have and what we can do. I just told my staff today, work on the most critical thing.
Well, that happens. Unfortunately, that's the way of the world. When you have a couple of unexpected absences, everybody has to pitch in and you do what you gotta do. And there's some things that just slide.
There's probably no other office that we could bring a clerk over to help at the window or anything like that.
Not really, because the way the system, we'd have to train them. And so that, it kind of would defeat the purpose. We'd have to train them how to use the system in order to do. It's not just like old school, on a calculator, just put in a deposit.
Yeah.
It's through the system. We have to make sure that we checks and balances everything. The State Board of Accounts has a lot on us to do so. And I'm constantly making sure that our protocols are up to date. So when an audit happens, that we have everything, our T's are crossed and our I's dotted.
The unexpected can happen in any office, and when that
Yeah,
does, you just
sure does.
buckle down and go for it.
Deal with it.
Yeah. All right.
Very good. Anything else for Shelley?
Nope, that is
Okay,
it.
thank you.
Thank you.
Mark, come on up.
Oh, gosh. We have one.
Well, he has paperwork.
It's very, very simple one today. It was a 2-lot minor that they have now done, added to 3. So they took lot 1 and took this piece out of it to create the 3rd lot. So 1, 2, and the 3rd.
Where's this location?
This is 200 west, 750 north.
Design went over it, you're okay?
Short term, what's
Yeah, there it is.
Very good.
Motion we accept.
That's okay.
What's this called here?
Okay, motion passes.
Okay. Here's, here's 75. Only took two out.
Do just two lots,
That's just.
or 77.7. Okay, but this is on 200 west and 700.
750.
750.
That's just, Eric, right down there, it's just down the road from my house.
Is that, is it near?
That way everybody will know.
That's close to Suburban Stop and
What else have you got for us, Mark?
Well, I was gonna ask Mark if he wanted to talk about what we didn't do today that I. was
Oh,
gonna
that
do
we
today.
plan to do at 7:30? Shoot. Well, I guess we can discuss that later.
Well, I couldn't.
Area 317, so we're talking to somebody down in India.
I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Mark. Shannon, what have you got for us?
Thank you.
But at least you got in before adjournment, Dan.
Come on, Dan.
Motion to adjourn? Oh, no.
I second.
This is just, from last week, I talked about, having the timetable to train a replacement for
Yeah.
retiree. Council approved the salary for that,
Okay.
and I'm just getting official approval from you till we can hire that person.
Okay.
No problem with that.
Yeah,
Second.
Motion passed.
Thank you.
Dan made motion, I said.
Yep.
all
Did you
right.
get all that, Tony?
I can fake it.
Okay. You recall a conversation from last week?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would have you guys reread it for me.
Clayton, what have you guys, from the attorney's seat, what have you got for us? Oh, yeah, if you wanna wait, we can wait on Mark.
Just give me a second.
Ian's obviously here for
You have
something.
that Livestock ordinance that we've been waiting to do, but is not on the agenda today. So I think he was going to discuss it and then put it on the agenda for approval next week.
Okay.
And that's in here somewhere.
I saw that.
I don't know, yeah, it's right here. Yeah, right there. Which Doug is familiar with, because that's plan commission.
Right. There was a couple other changes, but the major item was they left the setbacks as is.
Right.
But then
There was some discussion.
Mark
with the
made a couple
setbacks,
other
but
minor
then-
changes on it, on this.
Yeah, but
Yeah, so the recommendation, it would just be a recommendation, 2025, whatever number or it would go along with the ordinance
12,
number that it would be.
okay.
Well, just that the current conditions and character of structures and uses dedicated to livestock production, in the jurisdiction necessitate certain amendments to the ordinance regarding livestock operations, including but not limited to amended definitions, setbacks, inspection procedures, and cessation of operations. Again, that was a recommendation that's already signed by the plan commission, with a vote for adoption. And again, it's just, I think from what Mark discussed with me, because Mark handled the majority of
I
revising this.
think we
it
have,
was-
have you guys seen that? Seems to me like we have seen that,
Okay,
the proposal, so we just need to discuss it today and then vote on it next week. Is that what we need
I
to
would say,
do?
and just because it wasn't on the
Because it's not
agenda.
on the
Okay.
actual agenda.
Okay, so we'll put it on the agenda for next
Andy
week.
wasn't
Yeah.
told to put it on the
It was-
agenda.
We'll put it on the agenda for next
It
week.
was a
She has to-
unanimous decision by.
Okay, good.
both.
And I think the
I'll
only
bring that back
controversy
next
there
week.
was setbacks, and the setbacks
So
ultimately
that is going to
remain
be
the
number
same.
12,
Right.
though.
I
That
believe
was the
it'll be,
issue.
well, it
The
will
one-
be whatever so the next ordinance number is at 12.
Mhm.
Then yeah. this
We
would
just
be-
approved 11 today,
So
was the,
Tony, you might as well just put that on the agenda.
I already emailed Angie, she's got it on for next week.
good deal. Anything else for us, Clayton?
We reached out to. There's possible real estate in downtown Decatur that the owners of the property that the county's interested in for the judicial center may be interested in, and it might be a proper location for their relocation. Mark and I have been in contact with the real estate agent that's in charge of the sale of that property, and have been kind of continuously following up. Basically, our request was that we connected them, the owners of the Living Word Temple, and that real estate agent, and At this point, based on what the real estate agent has told us, is he's made contact with them and it's basically just waiting for a time for them to get in there and review that new proposed property. So, actually very promising. That was, I think discussions in the last time we met were kind of almost falling through, and then identifying the fact that there was new potential property that would very well serve their needs. Really reinvigorated the possibility of hopefully getting this done. So,
So that's still possible.
yes.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can let Mark keep going if he has anything else.
Yeah, I thought too, when, Mark and Judge Kugelhan and myself sat together with him, I just, to me, it seemed like a very amenable meeting, and you came up with a solution that would just be very doable for everybody.
Yeah, no, I've reached out to, Nick Huffman, Stephen Group, and left him, and I sent him an email to just let me know if they've gone through and looked at it yet.
Do we need to, consider, have we got an offer to purchase, on that property yet? Property that is being considered? If it's just been discussion so far, or do we actually have a formal offer
Which property?
on the Livingwood, the Dela Rosa property?
No, we have appraisals. We did appraisals way back.
Do
We have
we
not.
Do we need to move to an offer?
Based upon what we've discussed with them right now, the offer that we can make will be rejected wholesale.
How about a purchase option should we do?
Oh, wait a minute. So what we're doing is, in my opinion, is we're finding out if there's a possibility, if they wanna sell the property.
When we met with them, they told us point blank that the congregation is not ready to sell that building at this time, which that's the big building.
Right?
And they don't know when it might be years.
And that has not changed?
No, that has not changed.
Okay, then as far as I'm
Then
concerned, we need
they
to move
don't,
on.
then as far as I'm concerned,
That's not what
Move
I was
forward.
understanding we were doing.
It was in the context of that discussion
Okay,
that the possibility of the church moving and buying perhaps this building,
okay.
the Elks building,
Okay.
that turned that around. And then they said, okay, well, maybe that would be an option.
Okay.
And so that's what we're pursuing right now. That's why we contacted the realtor that has it listed. We put them in contact with each other. They were supposed to take some members and go down there and look at it. And if that looked like a suitable option for them, then we might be back on for possibly getting everything acquired that we need to acquire.
I guess I'm
That's
trying to
the-
figure out how to move to the next step.
That's the optimistic part right there is.
It is,
The-
but that ball is in their court, and so I've contacted, Nick Huffman, and I'll see what he says. And if they have gone through it and said, no, they're not interested, then yes, then it's time to move on.
See, Steve, part of the issue is they could potentially move into that property for the amount of money that we could offer for their part. So,
Probably less.
yeah. So that's the optimistic part, is that if these pieces fall into place, the church would be happy, we would be happy.
I guess I'm trying to figure out how to move this, how to regain control of the timeline and the process on this. I feel like that we have been, every step of the way, we have been at somebody else has controlled the timeline on this, and we have got to move forward with something. So I am of the opinion, we make an offer to purchase that property. If we agree to purchase it, we make an offer to purchase that property. We make that offer for 30 days. If they find another place, great. If they can negotiate, great. If they can't, we've got to move on. And I want to regain control of the timeline.
Well, I don't think that's necessarily in our best interest. I think if you want to gain control of that property and gain control of the timeline, then you have to go to eminent domain and.
We're not gonna do that. That's not
what
an
I'm
option.
saying.
That's
So
not, but
if you want complete control, that's
Stan, if
your-
you're trying to buy a piece of property, you make an offer on it, you make it expire in 30 days, And if the seller accepts that offer, you move on, but at least we have nailed down a 30-day timeline by which we can move on.
Yeah, but my feeling is, these people gotta decide whether they're willing to sell the building. If they are, we gotta decide if we're willing to purchase the property.
Well, let me see the response that I get from Nick and see if they've looked at it, and then we'll know more. hopefully
But
next
please
week.
understand that my patience is wearing
Yeah,
thin.
they wanna
and
mark
we've
more
got to
time,
move on.
move forward.
Understand.
Well, this is one of the most optimistic developments that I've seen through this whole process, so I'm willing to let this particular deal see how it works out.
And I'm willing to, but I'm not willing to wait 6 months.
Well, I'm
No,
not
no,
willing to
no,
wait a month.
no.
But
but
at the rate
I-
we've
I
been
agree.
going,
No,
it'll take 6 months
I-
if
I
we
think-
don't.
I think this is an opportunity where everybody could walk away with what they want.
Good.
So-
And that should be able to be ascertained within a fairly short period of time. It's a matter of them going down there and taking a look
What's a
at it.
short period of time?
My, couple of weeks. You know, when a property's for sale, it could sell at any time.
Yeah.
And so if they have any real interest in it, then they ought to get down there. We've put them in contact with the real estate agent. We've facilitated all of that. And if that doesn't happen, then I would say we will know within a very short period of time
Good.
what their interest is. And if they're not pursuing it, then guys, it's up to you. You can say, we're done, we've waited, we're moving on.
In my mind, that's 30 days.
Okay? I don't think that's.
You know,
I'm just one of 3, but that's where it's at. in my
I
mind.
don't think that's an unreasonable timeline.
Yeah, I don't think that's unreasonable either for them to make a
Then,
decision.
then they need, okay, within 30 days, they need to tell us that they're willing to sell the building for what we're allowed to pay. Is that correct?
Well, let's do this. Why don't we, Clayton, we'll send a letter out to them and just, say, commissioners are still interested. Have you looked at the other property, et cetera? We'll come up with a letter, but at least we stake out, here's our position. And at least they
But
know.
I don't wanna, in the letter, I don't wanna make it sound like if yous are willing to sell it, it's a definitely buy.
Yeah,
I'm not ready for that yet.
we don't need to say that.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll put together a communication.
Okay, good deal. Thanks.
But yeah, once again, compliments to Mark for the behind the scenes discussions that he's having with both parties involved.
Yeah,
So I think
it's-
that's kind of what's making this.
It's been frustrating, but we're near the end of having to move on.
Yeah.
From that location.
I think kind of lastly, I know Mark Wynn, to some extent, shared briefly before walking out that I think he's frustrated that he's not been able to go demolish the Teeple property.
Oh,
That is, that's not in our office's hands, that's not in your hands, it's not in the Planning Commission's attorney's hands, that's in the Indiana Court of Appeals' hands.
Okay.
They have not officially filed a dismissal of her appeal.
Okay.
Now, has she failed to abide by all of the procedural requirements? Yes, but you gotta wait for that order. The day that order comes through, we can give Mark a green light.
Good.
So that.
I guess when I saw the schedule, I assumed that order had come through.
No, and we had, I think we had advised that it had not come through. So
Okay,
we
very
were kind
good.
of unaware why it was scheduled.
Good
Yeah,
deal.
it's on, when it hits, Pat's office will know, we'll know.
Okay.
So,
Good deal. Very good. Anything else from you guys?
yes.
Okay.
Have the updated, and Dan, I spoke with Dan here a few minutes ago as sheriff. This is the school resource officer interagency agreement between Adams County Sheriff's Department and Adams County Community Schools. This has been updated. And the main thing was the actual exhibit to this agreement, which provides the reimbursement schedule. And Shannon's worked on this. Shannon, this is my understanding, this is the last final document. Dan's confirmed that.
Yes.
So thank you for working on that, getting that ironed out. I think at this point, it's actually, they got it set up for signature of the Adams County Sheriff, but as the Board of Commissioners, you need to approve contracts
Do we know, does that include the additional compensation that we have to make for the time to take care for the dog?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay, that was really the question, the change that I had asked is that that be included in that.
Just a contract, it's just a contract.
Contract.
Is this just with the North Adams? or is
It's
it-
just Adams Central. North
Just
Adams is
Central.
Decatur City Police Department and South Adams is Burn PD. Adams Central is the only one that comes through us,
Okay.
if I remember correctly.
So here's, that I submitted to Mark's office for salaries, like the health insurance, like insurance, health, insurance, 47, sheriff's pension, workers' comp, and K-9 maintenance.
Okay, good.
The council approved that additional for that canine maintenance in their meeting.
Well, I hand that down.
And I think based on representation of the schools council, you guys approved it today, I believe they have a meeting.
Hang on it.
They have a meeting tonight and they're gonna approve it tonight.
I don't see it's not here for your guys' signatures on it.
Okay.
No, that's just the exhibit if you want, everybody can see what the numbers are.
That one fell out, I don't know where it fell out, but
Exhibit A, that's all
I
I'm saying.
dropped one page, I was sure where
That's
it
all
was
I'm
back
saying.
in that.
Okay. Contract from the dog.
Oh.
Copy of the dog. You have a contract for the dog, sheriff dog.
Is that really this way you spell per and per diem?
That's about.
I've spelled that wrong my whole
I
life.
spell it PER.
Me too. E-I-E-R.
Here,
I assume that's Latin or something, I don't know, but
Actually, I think that is correct.
I've misspelled that for 65 years.
I'm sure I have to.
is that correct, Shannon?
I always thought that's where you park your boat.
Yeah.
Is it PIER DM or is it PER DM?
Doesn't matter.
We're having a.
We're
I
having
think it's.
sidebar
I
here.
think it's Latin, I think it's Latin.
PER per diem.
Oh,
That's what we thought, but this is not what this says.
So, they get a little excited with the letters.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, I have to look at the Latin.
sorry, I was just assuming that I was wrong all those years.
They're
That's all.
set.
No, I think.
So basically, it's $10,000 more dollars,
Per day.
10,131.80 just for the
Yeah.
dog this year.
Yeah, and that's come about as a law that we have to pay that. And we ended up paying it part of the year last year, but I asked that it be built into the contract with Adams Central, so Adams Central has to pay us.
I'll have Mendoza bring the dog in and we'll get the paw prints on this contract.
So on South Adams and North Adams,
Jet.
who pays the officer's wage? This,
I assume the school districts pay, but they reimburse the local PDs.
okay, so are we being reimbursed for Adams Central's then?
This is Adams Central's, yes. That's what we're talking about here, just Adams Central's.
Right.
Gotta take
But
care of
Adams Central
Jet.
reimburses the
That's
county.
the dog's
then.
name,
Yes,
Jet.
that's the,
I don't know
For
the
the
dog
total
is. I have
amount?
no idea what the dog is.
yeah, the dog's name is Jet.
Jet,
Okay.
because he's at Adams Central.
I assume that's what we're gonna get paid, is that 105,771.32.
Never seen it.
Oh, well, that's
Why
probably
is
not
it even
true,
going through the county? Why is it even going through the county?
because it's sheriff's department officer.
Oh, okay.
Like the North Adams is a Decatur PD officer.
Okay.
Is there an amount there, Steve, any kind of, what are we talking about?
Total compensation for the school year be 105,771.32.
105,000, what?
771.32.
For a whole year?
But there's reimbursement from the school on some of that.
105,000.
I'm sorry, Steve, the exhibit you have says that the total cost is 105?
Yes, 105,771.32.
Money for it. Correct.
That's not just for the dog, that's the officer and the dog.
Okay.
That's the officer and the dog.
And the fringe
I was
benefits.
gonna say, geez.
And the fringe benefits for the officer and the dog.
That's for benefit. Really, seriously? You're
I
joking?
just
No,
kidding.
joking.
No, don't quote me on that, Eric.
Okay, well,
I didn't-
I'll make a copy of this for both
Yeah, I didn't know what.
you and Jim. I
So,
think
so for, Clayton, you say we basically need to approve this so the Adams Central School Board can act on it this evening?
yeah, I just need, I would have the commissioners have a motion to approve this contract and authorize the sheriff to sign it.
Mark, I'm sorry, I have a question. Did you guys update these figures after I sent them over? Do you know if you took some things off?
Uh-oh. Sounds like we have a discrepancy.
That's why I'm trying to stop for a second.
Stop!
There's a problem, attorney HR relation.
As long as, Adams Central, all, we're just gonna.
We are.
Yeah. Doesn't Burn PD provide one at
I assume they provide South
South
Adams.
and North Adams probably
North
too?
Adams. Decatur
Decatur
provides, I know Decatur provides the one North Adams. I'm not sure what South Adams does.
I think South Adams does have,
They have one, that Pop was.
I think it's the Burn PD, but Monroe didn't have anybody at Monroe PD to do it, so they took a county.
I mean, the only reason we're involved is because it's one of our sheriff's deputies.
Yeah.
No, it's what has been agreed to. by
This
Sheriff's
is the
Office.
number.
Yep, this is the number
Okay.
for this contract year. It may change next year. So to be clear, I'll make a copy of this, for you guys so you can see it.
This is an annual contract.
Just 1 year,
1 year,
and it
okay.
expires at the end of every school year, or in June, expires in June or July. So the 105,771.32 is the total annual cost, or the total annual salary and benefits that are included in this calculation
Right.
for purposes of determining the per day rate. That's why it says per diem, the per day rate that the school will reimburse the county for each day or portion thereof that the officer is at the school performing duties. Okay, so it doesn't mean that the school's going to pay Adams County 105,771.32 necessarily, but it means that the per day will be calculated based upon that number.
It'll be within that amount.
It'll be less than that amount.
The overall amount will be less.
Because when school lets out, they're not paying us for the school resource officer when school is out.
This is 5 days a week, not 7 days.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, okay, if this figure is basically assuming that all 180 days is gonna happen. But if there's school cancellations, does this,
This takes care of that. This is the total annual compensation components that are used to determine it that's the county. Okay, so.
I mean,
if
Adams
there's-
Central's one's paying for this, we're not.
Right, well, but when they submit, when we submit claims, the county submits a claim and says, okay, for the month of March, this is how many days the school resource officer was on campus at the school for 8 hours, and then that's what they pay.
Okay.
So they're paying on a monthly basis, I believe. Okay.
Yeah, so if there's a fog delay, 3 hours, and then they cancel school,
Yeah, they're not paying.
that the officer and the dog
Yeah.
not paying for that day.
Yeah.
Right, we're only being reimbursed for days that work is actually performed, correct?
Okay.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
officer and the dog.
Yeah, the dog's lumped into.
That's calculated. Yeah, I just need a motion, approve this contract, authorize the sheriff to sign it.
Stan's not here right now.
And then I
South Adams and
make sure that
North
gets
Adams
to,
don't have to worry about the dog.
Dan for signature.
They don't have one.
And then he can send it on and make sure we end up with a copy back in our file.
There you go. There's your story. One more mean much to the dogs. All fair say what? Or are we?
Stan, we just need a motion to approve this school resource officer contract and authorizing the sheriff of Adams County to sign that agreement.
So move.
I'll second.
Motion carries. All right. Thank you. Next thing.
Sorry for the delay.
So, there is in the works an update to the, Adams County livestock ordinance. A copy of that has been provided to you gentlemen.
They discussed that with Clayton while you
Clayton
were out.
covered that.
Oh, okay, so
we're-
what we'll do is we'll
Hold
put that
that
on
for
the
a week.
agenda for next week, for consideration of adoption on the agenda next
Do
week.
we need to have a public hearing or anything on that, or?
No, it just needs to be the public hearing was held by them.
Publicize it in the
We had
agenda.
public hearing at the plan commission.
Yep.
And Angie, I already sent her to have that on. It'll be 2025-12.
Good deal.
We'll get that on. I've asked Megan, kind of to summarize, there had been a previous, red line version of it. But then she provided the summary here of what the changes
Right.
were. Did you guys get a copy of that?
We got the summary. I had requested the red line version, but it didn't sound like that was available, so she
Okay.
provided the summary.
But, okay, so you got the summary
Yeah.
of the changes. Okay, perfect. So yeah, we'll just get that on the agenda for next week.
I think too, I was gonna request Tony, have Angie put on the agenda, me bringing back the ordinance, that would allow, community corrections members to carry firearms. I think I briefly have gone over that with you before.
Right?
But I wanna bring that back, and if you guys are able, or willing to approve it. The biggest thing is because the sheriff said if we don't get something approved, then kind of by law, he's gonna have to start, doing certain trainings under the statute so. If the ordinance is granted then, or adopted, then he won't have to go through some of those.
Didn't we do that based on them being special deputies?
So we used to, and now Indiana code has removed really their or has changed the definition of special deputy. I mean, is that your understanding, Ian?
That's my understanding, and yes, as of now, there are certain trainings that the sheriff's deputies go through that community corrections are required to, going through us. And so my understanding that from Dan, that's changed. And so if we're going to remain special deputies, we have to do the same, whatever the trainings that are. I don't know specifically what it was, but, and so Dan felt like the best thing would be is to take that special deputy privilege away as long as county commissioners were okay with you allowing us to carry firearms in the line of duty. And of course, we have our own training. I think that's probably outlined in the ordinance and in policy, that we will still be required to do, including, at least quarterly firearms, practice qualifications. So
now, do you go into public school buildings or other school buildings?
that is one that will be taken away, and the only way that can be, I don't go in public school buildings very often, but as special deputies, there's no problem with that.
So you
Not
will
being-
not, when you go into a school building, you're not allowed to have the weapon? Or are you?
Currently, my understanding, yes. However, with this new ordinance, we will not. So, the only way to go around that is if each school board would approve community corrections to be allowed to carry firearms inside the buildings. And I don't know that it happens frequent enough that it would be worth
It's not worth hassle.
going before all three school boards to make that.
Sure.
So we'll cross that bridge if it becomes a problem. But, my only concern was I coach. I'm not currently coaching anything at the high school level, so I don't have any reason to worry about it. But in the past, I had helped out with the Belmont soccer program, and I come straight from my office to school. And so that was, and it could have been an issue, but now it's not, because I'm not doing it at that level, so.
So really, like Ian explained, it was more of a discussion between him and the sheriff based on the new training requirements of special deputies from an economical standpoint. It makes more sense for the community corrections officers to be taken off of that, because otherwise they're going to all be required to have an extensive amount of more training to still be categorized as special deputies within Adams County. And like Ian said, the initial research I did, you can't by ordinance say that it is okay for those members, since they're not special deputies, to carry firearms on school grounds. However, Indiana code clearly states that, like Ian said, if they really feel the need to do that, whether it's in conjunction with our office or them themselves, they can go before all three of those boards and request that. I mean, in all honesty, I'm sure all three of the boards would probably grant that ability, but that'd be something that sits solely with the board of each school.
But we do, as commissioners, we do have the authority to grant community corrections personnel to carry weapons. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, so really it's, you're really granting them the ability to carry weapons.
As part of their job.
You're expressly, yes, just part of their job, and especially within county buildings. Obviously, as you are all aware, I mean, Indiana is a carry
Yeah.
state in reality. So regardless, when they're outside of a county building,
They carry
they
weapons.
can carry their weapon. Now, it's more that you're expressly stating it's okay for them to carry a weapon while in the scope of their employment. Right? right?
That's
So,
what we're doing, yeah.
yes, so.
So what does that create for us as the commissioners in terms of liability?
I mean, I think obviously anyone carrying a firearm creates to some extent
Yeah.
liability, right?
Obviously, we have that liability through the sheriff's department and those employees.
Correct. And I think, obviously, again, as long as there's some policy in place through the ordinance related to what training is required, and a requirement that, that training be documented by the community corrections, to some extent, as the supervisor, being you all, you can't control every person's day to day. So as long as at the end of the day, the county in general can show we've taken all the steps for this person to be properly trained with the firearm, that limits liability to the extent you can,
Will
it
that
eliminate all-
resolution include the required training?
Yes, I was planning on putting it in there, and I think Ian's let me know that I have to update it anyway related to this specific personnel because there's been some turnover. So I'll update that, and then probably I'll have a discussion with Ian prior to next week about what type of training, quarterly or annually that they're proposing they all undergo to maintain
So
these.
in our defense, the resolution would say, yes, we granted them permission to carry, but yes, we also required this training.
Correct.
And,
We
we're
we
only
used another
responsible
county's ordinance
for
as a
accountability.
model for this, so.
Yeah.
When Dan originally reached out to me, I reached out to my colleagues and found other counties that are doing things in the same fashion. So as far as policy manual and procedures and things of that sort, that we modeled off of another county. So.
Very good.
Any questions?
Thanks, Clayton. Thanks, Ian. Anything else, Mark?
No, I don't think so. I just got some things to do here after the meeting upstairs.
Anything from the public? Nope. Guys?
The only thing when we had, community corrections meeting and JREC meeting the other day, we did have a little discussion. Rob Parker's always there and how to use the opioid monies that are coming in and stuff. And I don't know, did you want to speak to that at all?
Well, soon is going to be the time that we start talking about how much do we want to open up and what our purpose is going to be. Really easy thing would be to rubber stamp it and say, this is what we're gonna do, but I don't think that's the right thing to do. I think that just because Rob and his group is doing a lot of great things in our community, there could be others. For example, the sheriff, speaking on his behalf, lost funding from the Department of Corrections for his jail treatment program. And so he's gonna have to find a way to fund that. And so, or lose it. And many people have said that's a hard hit to the inmates because of their mental health and what behavioral health is doing for by sitting someone in there. And so perhaps council has a way to fund it, but the opioid money might be a better option. So I think that we need to kind of continually be open and
Sure.
So what's best? And the fact that Adams County is doing what that money was designed to do is a compliment to Adams County, because I heard one of our neighboring county was thinking about doing a revitalization project with it in their downtown. And I'm not gonna name that county, but ultimately somebody smartened up and decided that's probably not what that money was really supposed to be used for. But Adams County is, and I'm happy about that.
If you guys look,
And Tony is opted into.
I just emailed Ian and the three of you. Glenda and I had to fill out a survey recently. I had to sign for the Purdue settlement, which I think is different
Mhm.
than what we have been getting. So that will allow the county to get
Potentially.
more from that. But what I sent you all, it names, the committee makeup of JRAC that the commissioners are wanting to decide how that money is spent. We had to enter all that information in the survey we did.
Right, I think that's like an annual report.
Yeah.
We had done in the past.
Yeah, we have to do that. So our office is kind of the pass through, just like we are for several things, but that tells you the amount of funding we received to date. It tells you what was spent, what it was spent on, who's on the JRAC. It gives you all of that information. including you, because I sent it to you as well. I didn't know if you were gonna get it or not.
Yeah, I work with Linda though.
Okay, so anyway, since you were talking about that, thought I'd throw that out there, and as soon as we find something out from the Purdue settlement, I think it's Purdue settlement,
Yeah, it was.
I'll inform everybody on that too.
Well, and I think that probably lends itself to the respect that we formed an opioid steering committee, and that opioid steering committee is effectively the JRAC committee who deals with this issue every single day.
And I thought very thoughtfully put together a process by which you would annually consider programs to get this money, and I thought it was a really well put and well thought out strategy to how to effectively use those dollars, and I think you've done a good job with it.
And I think we're within about a 30-day window of when we should start talking about reopening that. So soon, we can sit down and the commissioners decide just how much money we wanna offer up for this next.
Right.
But then, you know, keep in mind, there was a large amount deposited at the beginning, and then it's spread out over to 2037, I think. And it's not, you know, the money is less, and so, our goal is to be able to continue to offer up money available to divvy out and, you know, wins, I guess.
Good.
That's all I got.
Thanks,
It
Ian.
still kind of stinks that the state keeps half the money and only gives us half.
If only we thought they were being as good as stewards with us as we are.
They're probably doing revitalization projects.
Yeah.
Be glad we get half.
Yeah, and again, kudos to that group for being diligent about using those funds for the purposes that they were intended. Okay. Anything else from anybody? Doug, Stan, anything else? Okay,
Move we adjourn.
Second.
we're adjourned. Thanks, guys.